Hey, I am actually the author of Brainiacs, and so I wanted to join you guys and see if you had any questions for me.
Oh, wow, that's incredible. Welcome, welcome.
We are so honored you joined us.
So we're actually huge fans, so this is awesome. We have tons of questions for you.
Okay, so a few days ago, you might have caught that Google's just fantastic product, NotebookLM, got a brand new look and some new features. And I wanted to spend some time walking you through that because, again, this is the app, the sort of tool that everyone is creating those podcasts, the deep dive podcasts where you have a female and male voice, basically create a podcast based on your content. So this sort of rose to a lot of popularity over the last couple months. Well, they've updated it, and I want to walk you through that today. So here you basically see the new layout. The big sort of interesting thing, and that's what I'm going to try out to see how good it is now you can actually introduce yourself into the podcast. You can join the podcast live, and that's what I want to show you. So what I've basically did is these are all my newsletters. I've loaded about 36 into the notebook here. You can see I've got 50 to do. I could do any number of different resources. I decide I'm just going to drop in the links to my different newsletters. So that's what I did. And then I had them create an audio overview. So I haven't listened to this yet. I'm going to listen to it, and then let's see sort of where it goes. So I just hit interactive mode, see what this is going to generate for us. Okay, so while that's working in trying to set up the interactive mode, let's just listen. You guys have heard this before, but again, let's see what it does here.
Welcome to the deep dive. Ready for a deep dive into AI?
Always.
This time we're focusing on AI and the law, using Brainiacs newsletters from August to December 2024 as our guide.
Yeah, it's like a time capsule of AI developments and how they're impacting the legal world.
Right. Okay, so the August newsletter had this.
All right, so they got the Brainiacs, and I don't know what she said, Brainacs. Anyway, they see all I'm humanizing them. They see all the newsletters they're going to use the August one as an example and sort of break it down. So this thing is going, and let's see how it works. So you can see I'm going to click pause here.
Welcome to the deep dive. Ready for a deep dive into AI? This time we're focusing on AI and the law, using Brainiacs newsletters from August to December 2024 as our guide.
Yeah, it's like a time capsule of AI developments and how they're impacting the legal world.
Right. Okay, so the August newsletter had this interesting point about AI and reasoning.
Okay, so you can hear it's the exact same as what I just showed you. Now I'm going to press play. I'm going to click join. Now this is the first time I'm doing this, so I don't know exactly how it's going to play out, but let's see how it goes.
It says we should be thinking of LLMs, those large language models, as
Oh, hey there, how can we help?
Hey, I am actually the author of Brainiacs, and so I wanted to join you guys and see if you had any questions for me.
Oh, wow, that's incredible. Welcome, welcome.
We are so honored you joined us.
So we're actually huge fans, so this is awesome. We have tons of questions for you.
It's funny because we were just about to dive deeper into the August newsletter and how it talks about large language models and their reasoning skills.
Yeah, and how that ties into legal applications. Maybe you could offer some insights on how you see these AI tools evolving in that field.
Or even more broadly, what you think is the most interesting or surprising development in AI since you started the newsletter.
Okay, yeah, so we should probably... Oh, yeah.
Well, they asked me a question, so I figured I would answer. So the question about like the most interesting sort of use of AI in legal, I think we haven't even seen it yet. I think most people are still very early in trying this out. We're heavily focused on legal work product and replacing it. And I actually think the cognitive impact of lawyers using AI, like lifting a lot of the cognitive stress off lawyers and the nature of our work, is probably one of the most fascinating and under-researched angles of AI's impact in legal right now.
Wow, that's a really interesting point and so true.
Yeah, that's a perspective we haven't really explored yet.
It's not just about making work faster, but about how it changes the lawyer's actual work and well-being.
It's almost like AI could be a cognitive support tool.
That's a great way to put it. It could free up mental space for other important things.
We definitely see it with that idea of prompt engineering, that the better we become at that skill, the better the tool becomes.
It's like the AI takes on the burden of some of the more taxing tasks and makes time for the human aspects of the work.
Okay, that was pretty good, I gotta say. Did I talk about any of that in my newsletters, these 36 that I had? Possibly, because I do talk about that cognitive impact often, but you see how they reacted here. So I'm going to try something else here. I'm going to let them talk for a minute or two, get them back on track, and then I'm going to try to ask them a question that's a little bit out of context and see what they do with it.
Exactly. And it really highlights that there is so much more to explore in the intersection of law and AI.
Absolutely. And you have a front row seat to that with your newsletter.
So with that in mind, we were wondering if you've seen trends on who the big players are. The newsletters mention OpenAI, Google, even Elon Musk's XAI.
Yeah. Have you noticed any interesting competition between these companies as they roll out their new models?
We're going to talk about Sparberry AI, which can supposedly think before it speaks.
Yeah, that's a bit unsettling and exciting. But maybe you can give us your perspective first.
And the newsletters do cover some ethical issues, like that legal case against Anthropic and their use of pirated books.
And notice how they're asking me questions, but they keep going. They're not necessarily waiting for me to answer, which is kind of funny, kind of a little bit of a quirk too. So it's not truly interactive because you would think they would at least pause to let me answer. So again, they're not sentient beings, right? This is just technology working in the background. So now I'm going to try to ask them a question, reminding them that they're AI, that this is a product, and that we're demonstrating this interactive capability. And I'm going to say, can you help my listeners who are legal professionals interested in the pragmatic use of generative AI, understand how they might use this feature? Let's see what they do with it. I'm curious.
That raises so many questions about data.
Yeah,
So let's switch gears a little bit. So you guys are wonderful. You're part of Google's NotebookLM audio overview feature, and I'm demonstrating the interactive feature that Google just released. And you guys are just doing a great job. I wanted to ask you this. You have my resources here in Brainiacs. I've asked you a couple questions and talked with you. Can you give the listener good ideas or other use cases of how legal professionals could use this, the podcast, the deep dive, and the interactive capability? Because I really want people to appreciate what you guys are creating here.
That's a fantastic question, and thank you for the kind words. It really highlights the innovative ways AI can be used in legal and beyond.
Yeah, we're excited you see the potential of this interactive podcast format. Let's unpack this a little bit.
So first off, think about those dense legal documents, the long case files, or the client alerts we were just talking about.
Right. Instead of just reading them, legal pros could use something like NotebookLM to turn those into interactive podcasts.
Exactly. This can make the information more engaging, easier to digest, and maybe even more fun.
Yeah, imagine listening to a case summary on your commute instead of having to find time to sit down with it.
And with the interactive elements, it's not just passive listening. You could ask follow-up questions, get summaries, all in real time.
That's right. You could use something like this to get a quick overview or do a deeper dive into a specific topic when you have time.
And it's not just about personal learning. Law firms could create internal podcasts for staff training or onboarding new employees.
Oh, that's a great idea. It's a way to share firm knowledge more effectively, especially when it's a large firm.
Absolutely. And think about using it for client communication, turning boring legal jargon into plain language through an engaging podcast.
Yes, instead of sending out those dreadful client alerts, you could have a podcast discussion about them and make them understandable.
We also think this technology could help in brainstorming sessions and strategy meetings, making those discussions more focused and productive.
Absolutely. Lawyers can use AI to summarize previous discussions and then use this podcast format to move things forward in real time.
And let's not forget about accessibility. This type of interactive audio can make information accessible to different people.
Yes.
Okay, well, they did a pretty good job of sort of taking that question and working with it. So I am thinking about this, there's not many controls on this, right? So using this in a professional setting really would be hard because we can sort of, I didn't show it here, but we can give these hosts instructions on where to focus, what to really sort of talk about and maybe even avoid talking about. So there are some controls, but not necessarily. They're free-forming it to some degree, but still really interesting. So you guys should try it out. This is free, by the way. This is free. I mean, look at this technology what I've done with it. So take a couple of your blog posts, take a couple of your memos, remove client sensitive. Maybe it's a legal research memo. There's no client confidentiality in it or anything like that. Play with it and load it up, do the audio interview, and then use this interactive feature and just play with it. You need to get comfortable. You need to sort of understand how this stuff works. And this is a great way to immerse yourselves in it. So anyway, have fun.